Hi everybody and welcome to the Bear Necessities. I'm Bear and this week we're going to be making cheesecake. In the past I know we've talked about the fact that I can't really have a lot of fat or sugar and the carbs have to be low, and this cheesecake sticks with that, funnily enough. What I'm making is a sugar-free, low-fat, because there's a tiny bit, and also low-carb cheesecake. Before you stop watching the video though, just hear me out. It's good. Like, my family likes it and can't really tell the difference good. It's a cold set cheesecake. It sets up a little bit more than a normal cold set, which is usually made with just heavy whipping cream, the cream cheese, and some other ingredients that kind of hold together just because of the fat content. Since we don't have the fat content in this at all, we're having to make up for it with a little bit of gelatin. And so for the vegans and vegetarians out there, there are vegan and vegetarian gelatins. Agar doesn't really work too well for this because it doesn't set quite properly for it, but there are some other gelatins that'll work just fine. I have in this tiny little bowl 1 packet of gelatin, or that's 2.5 teaspoons of gelatin. And then also a tablespoon of water. I kind of stirred them together and I've let them bloom for about 5 minutes. And what I'm going to do is pop them in the microwave, I know, for 10, maybe 12 seconds just to melt the gelatin. But we're going to do that in just a minute. Let's get the rest of the cheesecake started. What you'll need is your 1 package or 2.5 teaspoons of gelatin with a tablespoon of water mixed in, 3 packets of non-fat cream cheese, completely fat-free, and then I also have non-fat Greek yogurt. There's 2 cups of this, so 3 packs, 2 cups. I have my vanilla bean paste, which does have a nominal amount of sugar in it. It's not enough, don't worry. And then finally, 1 cup of monk fruit. You can use whatever sugar-free substitute you want. Splenda and stevia work incredibly well in this. Or, if you're good with sugar, just use sugar. Honey works really well too, but only do about 1/4 cup. And it'll be a little less sweet, but honey can really water it down for, magical reasons. Who knows, but it is good. So, into your mixer bowl, or whatever you're using to mix it, I kind of jacked up my hand. So I will be using Loretta here. We all remember my old friend Loretta. And she's going to be mixing this up for us because we're going to have to whip it until it's a little bit fluffy because we're losing the fluff factor otherwise without the fat. So we're having to make up for it in a few other places. This one is going to have limes, which I did not grab. I'm going to have to get them in just a second. So it's going to have lime zest and lime juice because you do need that little bit of sour in there, but not much. Not much at all, especially considering that we have the Greek yogurt, and so that already lends a bit of that bite to us. Give me just a moment and I will grab some limes. Alrighty, so I have my limes. One of the good ways to find a good juicing lime is when you're looking at them, find one that has a very smooth, tight skin. If it looks like it's got a lot of pocking on it or anything, if it has more of a texture and it's not just smooth, those are just going to have a thicker skin. It's fine, they'll still be juicy enough, but you're just going to have a lot more of their rind than you are of the actual fruit inside. So the thin skin ones are best for getting juice out of, and you still get zest off of them, which is great. So there we are, our limes. Same thing with lemons, if you can get a tight-skinned one there too. And this would work really well with lemons. Only use 1 whole lemon, the juice from it and the zest from 1, and it'll be fine. So into our mixing bowl, we are going to add our 2 cups of non-fat Greek yogurt. So now, let's add our cream cheese. Remember, it's 3 full packages of non-fat cream cheese. These are all room temperature as well. It doesn't have to be room temperature, it just mixes way faster if it is. So it's a convenience thing more than anything else. You will have to mix it much longer to make sure that you don't have lumps. And now into that, we're going to add just a teaspoon-ish of vanilla bean paste. Again, it's because I really like how vanilla bean looks and the flavor from this. Finally, I have my cup of sweetener. That's everybody in the pool. And we're going to work with our lime. So let's just put this to the side for a moment. Grab a cutting board and my zester. If you don't have a zester, just use a vegetable peeler. Peel very lightly on the skin and then just chop it up with a knife. That's fine. And to start with, go ahead and roll your limes just for a second to kind of break up some of the membrane inside. You get more juice out of it quickly. If you have older limes, like if they've kind of been in your kitchen for way longer than they should have, and they've started to look a little bit like dinosaur eggs and in texture and in hardness, which these are fresh, go ahead and pop them in the microwave for about 10 seconds. Do not do any longer than that. They can, So, but pop them in the microwave for about 10 seconds. It warms up the inside. You can roll it and squeeze it and you will get way more juice out of it. You can do that now too with fresh ones, and it'll do about the same. It'll give you just a little bit more of the juice out of it. So let's go ahead and zest our limes. I'm going to zest into my zester instead of over it because I like the longer strands of zest. I like how it looks. It's really an aesthetic thing for me. Some people just like to do the short zesting, which is great because you're still getting it all out. It's just much finer pieces. Whereas me, I want to know it's there. I want to see it I want to see it there. It looks like jewels and candy to me. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. But I'm a huge citrus fan, just in general. Grapefruit, one of my favorite flavors on this planet. And it's a good thing I live in Texas where ruby red grapefruit originate and grow here just like wildflowers. They're so good, so sweet. Alrighty, so now we have the zest of my 2 limes, and yes, I know, watching someone zest 2 limes, it's super exciting. So thanks for sticking with me there. We're gonna get this back off, re-roll just a tiny bit, and a good sharp knife. We're just going to slice them open and squeeze the bejeebers out of them. If you have some strength issues, there are some people that have grip issues, go ahead and if you have tongs, grab your tongs. What you do is you take them, you put the lime in between the very end of the tongs, and then you squeeze the tongs as much as you can. You'll still get a lot of the juice out of it without having to put so much pressure on your hands. Or if you have a reamer, that works really well too, because you don't have to squeeze. You can just kind of move your hands. If you have limited motion with your fingers, things like that, but can still grip onto things, that works really well because then you can put pressure into it and you're just kind of mashing it out. You get a little bit of the pulp from that too, which is absolutely delicious because you get little bursts of lime juice that are so wonderful. So we're going to go ahead and juice both these limes really quick. Thankfully, they are juicy, but they are small, so it doesn't take too long. This is about, right now, a little over a tablespoon. Not much. What I did is I just kind of gave everything a good general mix. I know I'm about to run this with Loretta, but again, I wanted to give her a running start. Now, one ingredient that I need to grab real quick is a little bit of salt. Salt adds flavor. We're talking a pinch here, not even a large pinch, just a little bit. It adds enough. That. Now, let's fit her whisk on and get this mixing. And while this is mixing, I'm going to go ahead and pop my gelatin into the microwave to melt it for just a few seconds. If you don't have a microwave, go ahead and put this into a small pan over the lowest heat you could possibly get until it's just melted. It doesn't need to be hot. It just needs to not be a clump anymore. All right, so I have melted my gelatin. It was being a little bit of a brat, so I had to put it in for about 15 seconds. Whatever. It's not terribly hot. I can actually just touch it. And this is mixed for, you know, an equal amount of seconds, maybe 30. So let's get our gelatin in. And we do want as much of it in there as we can get, because every little bit helps. Because the gelatin also helps it fluff up ever so slightly. It gives it its delightful structure. And gelatin adds a little bit of protein because, you know, that's what it is, especially for bariatric patients like me. I know I mentioned that a lot, but it is a big deal, and it's to me, and it's a big part of my diet. And I want to be able to provide these ideas to people who kind of have tiny tummies like me and have to find better options for what they can have. So that's why I keep mentioning it. So extra protein, always good. So I'm going to go ahead and get Loretta going one more moment. I'm going to slowly work her up onto high, and I'm going to let this mix for about 5 minutes because it really needs to whip up, and I really need it to be as creamy as possible. So I will see you back in just a few seconds. I'm sure I'm just going to go ahead and let the video run, but we'll be back in just a moment. I'm just getting all the lime zest off of my mixer because, again, I really like it in there. It adds great flavor and it's really pretty to me. And since I do the long zest pieces, they tend to cling on for dear life. So let's just get the last little bits off the sides and get this mixed. I have a 9-inch pie pan here. You can use whatever you want. If you just want to use a small cake pan, bread loaf pan, whatever, it's all going to work out the same. And that looks amazingly beautiful. All right, so you don't have to line your pan because this is non-fat. It doesn't have any sugar added. And because of the gelatin, it sets up well enough that it just comes right up. All right, and just smooth the top a little bit. It will not keep this shape, so don't worry about that. You can do whatever you want to it because we have to cover it. I'm going to be using a little plastic wrap, but you can use whatever you have that won't stick to it. Parchment would be fine, butcher paper, anything like that. I wouldn't suggest using a tea towel though, because this is liquid. That would not be pleasant. But I'm going to go ahead and cover it with my plastic wrap just to give it a nice seal because we don't want it to develop a skin in the refrigerator. There we go. Now I'm going to pop this in the fridge and it's going to sit there for 3 to 4 hours to really set up and get nice and just held together solid. There we go. There's a good word for it. So I will see you back in just a few seconds for you, but in 3 to 4 hours for me. See you then. All right, so it's been 10 seconds, 3.5 hours for me, and the cheesecake is ready. I checked it and it is set up perfectly. A little bit of a jiggle and so pretty with the little pieces of lime all over it. Again, that's something I like. So let's go ahead and cut a piece out of this and see how it was. This will be the first time I've, had a taste piece. As you can see, it cuts like butter. Just absolutely smooth. And I'm just going to do a little tiny piece for my little tiny tummy. Let me just pull that out. Didn't get the whole piece because I, surprisingly, with all the things that I do have in my kitchen, don't have a pie server. So, oh my gosh. Just that little taste is delightful. And even though it's not, just from what I just tasted, oh my gosh, y'all, this is so good. It has the same kind of light tang that a key lime pie would. It'd probably be amazing if it was key lime. So just saying. This is absolutely delicious. It's simple. It's pretty fast to put together. Of course, it takes some time for it to set up, but worth it. Because it's not horrible for you. If you need a little dessert that's not going to just, knock you out of your diet plan, you just need a little bit. Maybe have some cheesecake. It worked for the Golden Girls. It's got to work for us. I really hope you enjoy making this recipe as much as I did. This is the third time in a week that I've made it because I have to practice things, sometimes. And darn, practicing a cheesecake just made my family so upset, let me tell you. So, enjoy making it. It's simple. The way it should be. Until I see y'all again, bye.